It's a great honor to speak at such a distinguished forum. What we are doing is in line in this new technological revolution that is coming to change the world. And blockchain has done a great changes already in the banking and in the financial sector. And there are more use cases for the blockchain, of course, not just limited to monetary systems. And I think the best use case that really solves a lot of problems is the governance of a nation state. We've spent last 7 years thinking how to utilize this technology and combine it with the best ideas for the governance of nation state from the previous centuries. And we're also looking for a piece of land where we could execute our idea of bringing more freedom to the world and implementing these ideas in a physical spot. So in 2015, we came across an area which is 7 square kilometers between Croatia and Serbia that wasn't claimed for the last 30 years by any country. And it is a very special plot of land. It's actually exactly 7 square kilometers with beautiful sandy beaches. We did our due diligence on that plot of land, and in 2015, we declared a country. It was actually the 13th of April. That was the birthday of Thomas Jefferson. We wanted to invoke the spirit of American Revolution. So the big question is really, how do we combine this great technology that can change a lot of things with the governance of the country? How do we make it so we don't create a police state based running on blockchain, but we rather create a place that will be flourishing and full of freedom? What is very good about blockchain, of course, it brings radical transparency, something that, the elections in the United States, for example, would probably very much find useful. It also brings complete transparency in terms of budgeting. So many states are failing, for example, showing their accounting. There is a lot of different issues with that. Blockchain does solve completely the problem with transparency of both elections and budgeting. It also can fix the failures of democracy, and we know democracy is not a perfect system. We can do better. We can actually reward people that are more useful to the society by giving them more say, which I think is one of the things that needs to be changed in the new generation of nation states governance. And that's very easy to change with the blockchain technology. We are also thinking that it's a time for the states to introduce a voluntary taxation, basically crowdfunding different projects rather than pushing people to pay taxes. And we know very well Dubai has been one of the freest places, and the fact that the taxes are very low here led to this enormous prosperity of the whole society. And we want to go one step further. We want to actually crowdfund for every single project that Liberland is going to create. And we have a system of merits for that. The cool thing is that in Liberland, because of this blockchain governance that we are building, you will be able to vote anytime and also remove your vote from your representatives at any second, which also is pretty cool. You don't have to wait for years for the election cycle to finish. And you will be able not just that, but you'll also be able to take your votes away and use your votes directly for the elections. That's, I think, another great. So for every single decision that there will be, you will be able to say your yes or no directly without even using your representative. And you will be able to register your property just like with NFTs, basically transfer it in a couple of seconds. And that's something, of course, that other countries are already also doing. They're moving their land registries to blockchain technology, but our system has that already built in. And we have worked with Zaha Hadid architects on the urban design of the city, and we want to turn that, basically, that metaverse that we are creating into the first 3D land registry in the world. And there is another great advantage. You can build a very efficient system of courts, very transparent ones, and that's what we have also done already. It's in the development, I would say 90% finished by now. So those are the general ideas of how blockchain can actually improve nation-states' governance. And last of these things, and I think quite important, is that it's a time for the state to separate from economy. And again, Dubai has been great in doing that. It has made sure that the business is flourishing here, but we are thinking even about more radical separation of state of economy. The state should really make as little regulation and as little laws about doing business as possible. It should focus just on the basic things. And we believe that the combination of these principles will lead to enormous prosperity. So instead of the country growing at 2 or 3% a year, I believe it can grow easily at 20 to 30% a year, at least in initial decades. And that could bring, of course, enormous prosperity to the whole region of Balkans where Liberland is located. So when we started, we said we really want to build a country where honest people can prosper without being under the burden of regulation and overtaxation. And of course, this ideology comes from the founding fathers of the United States, but it has been a long tradition of libertarian thought with people like Mises, like Rothbard. It's very well thought through concept, which we know works not just in Dubai, but in Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Singapore. All these principles are good to run a country, and we are making sure we utilize them and we put them basically on this new type of governance. We have a very limited government, basically only 4 ministers, making sure, taking care only about justice, diplomacy, and security. Nothing else. We want the private sector to take care of the rest. And we have also element of direct democracy. So we let Congress to decide about positive laws, but people are able, through direct democracy, to get rid of any law that they don't like, which I think is also a good idea. Basically have only one institution that can create new laws, but have multiple institutions like public veto that can get rid of the laws that seem unnecessary and harmful to the society. So what we are basically doing, we're building a huge machine which is now made up of 800,000 people that applied for the citizenship of Liberland. It's a basically bigger national movement than, for example, Malta or Iceland. We're turning this into a completely transparent machine that creates more freedom and builds a new country. And we are basically also tokenizing the idea of sovereignty, which is, I think, very new thing. I don't think it was ever introduced on this planet until these days. And we're working hard to get Liberland recognized. We have just opened our office in UAE. We are working in more than 100 countries around the world for recognition. Our passport just got recognized in Colombia. We have opened official trading office in Malawi. We're about to open our representative office in Washington, D.C., and we have a great base, for example, in Prague and Brussels, working with the diplomats from all around the world. This was our first recognition. That was a very interesting story with the Somaliland 3 years ago. You're probably familiar with the Somaliland. It's a great country. This was our event from European Parliament, where almost all fractions of the European Parliament sent somebody to delegate for this event, so that was a great opportunity to present us there. This was our event with US congressmen and senators, a major event at the Trump Hotel a year and a half ago. And what we are also doing, and I already mentioned that, but we're basically building everything that we are planning to build first in the metaverse. We got one of the best partners for it possible. Zaharit Architects has been so helpful, and they basically designed the whole city center with one of their top teams, with Patrick Schumacher and they turn it into metaverse. So right now you can already run through Liberland, people are renting spaces, etc., and we are evaluating how that urban design will be useful for the future of Liberland. And everybody that plans to build something in Liberland, they will upload their design first, and then they will turn it into reality. And of course, we are also building around Liberland right now, because the construction right now is not easy. We first need to deal with Croatia. We need to find a suitable agreement with them about the borders. So we are focusing now on activities around Liberland. We're developing free trade zone. We are developing resort right next to Liberland. We want to develop an airport in the near future. So those are the yearly activities, because we also have a problem with flooding in Liberland. We are making sure that we actually have enough houseboats to settle Liberland. And we're basically starting with yearly events in Liberland. So this was the Floating Man Festival this summer. We had roughly 1,200 people coming, so you are very much welcome to join us for one of these events as well. Our citizenship and e-residency program is active, so you are very welcome to become e-resident or citizen of Liberland. It really takes a couple of minutes. And we would like to invite you to the anniversary of Liberland, which is on 13th of April, and it will be a major innovative event as well. So that's it from me. I hope you got an idea what Liberland is about, and I hope you will become part of our national movement in one way or another. Thank you very much.